Welcome again to this week's episode of LDN ONT TV here on Rogers TV. My name is Bronagh Morgan and I am your host, and I am joined today by Christian Wilson. He is a service director at Children's Aid Society of London and Middlesex. Today we're going to be talking about an event that's coming up on October 27th. It's called Dress Purple Day. Now, Dress Purple Day has a long history with children aid societies across Ontario, and Christian is going to tell us a little bit more about the history of Dress Purple Day and the goals of Dress Purple Day and how we can get involved this year. Welcome to the show, Christian.
Thank you, Bronagh. It's great to be here.
So talk to us a little bit about maybe where did Dress Purple Day come from, and how can we get involved? What's the point?
Sure. So for nearly 30 years, Children's Aid Societies in Ontario have used the month of October to remind the public about their role in keeping children and youth in their communities safe from abuse and neglect. The campaign started as a local community initiative. It had a focus on child abuse education, and then it evolved into this big province-wide month-long campaign called Child Abuse Prevention Month. So in 2017, the month of October was proclaimed as the Child Abuse Prevention Month in the Ontario legislature. So that was a pretty exciting time for the sector of child welfare. But what we now understand is that the campaign had some unintended consequences as well. I think, as you know, we are living in a world right now where we're acutely aware of and working to reverse the devastating effects of racism and colonization within our First Nations and Black communities. We've really learned from those vulnerable and marginalized communities and that the campaign's emphasis on reporting led to an unwanted and unwarranted increase in the surveillance of their families and communities. So we know that there continues to be an overrepresentation of Black and Indigenous children and youth in care and families involved in the child welfare system. So what we've done is this year we've really taken the chance to pivot and shift our campaign to raise awareness about the important role that individuals and communities have and play in supporting those vulnerable and marginalized children, youth, and families. We encourage everyone to do their part in supporting these families in their local community. At the Children's Aid Society, we're really committed to engagement in these communities so that we can find family, extended family and community solutions to the child welfare concerns that are presented. The new campaign reflects our commitment to addressing that overrepresentation of Black and Indigenous children and youth in child welfare. We're aiming to raise awareness about the supports that are available in people's communities and how they can access them. We raise awareness that every child and youth has a right to safety and well-being in all spaces, and that the community plays a very big role in protecting those rights.
From what I understand, there's a real big emphasis on partnerships and building partnerships between London and the other children's aid societies across Ontario and different community organizations to really work together to keep children and youth safe and maintain their well-being. So can you talk to us a little bit about those partnerships and how you're building those?
Absolutely. I think we're looking into all communities in the London area, including Black, Indigenous, any marginalized communities, any organizations that work with those communities specifically around supporting and preventing issues with regards to children, youth, and their families. We really want sort of to take that community approach to finding solutions that are community based. We've got partners in the mental health field, in education, addictions, and really looking to the communities that are raising these children and essentially their families to really be a big part of the solutions moving forward.
Absolutely. And I think, obviously we talk about COVID a lot on this show because it's such a big part of our lives. And, there's been a huge impact on children, obviously, because of not only, the fear of children becoming ill, but also the fact that they have been isolated over the course of the last year, not, not in school. That's got to play a big role in, your campaign and also your efforts to make sure that children are visible and safe in the community. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, certainly we depend on our education system um, to help us build supports around children, youth, and their families. Children certainly have been isolated during the pandemic. It's so great to see them back to school, connecting with each other. We've heard a lot about social connections being not as prominent as they were in the past. Youth really needing that support in the community, needing those meaningful people in their lives that can, listen when they need to be heard, understand them, and really work with them to kind of continue to get them on the right track.
And so how have you been able to, I guess there's an educational aspect of this campaign that helps people in the school system, bring this information to children to make sure that they know that there are supports out there if they need them.
Yes, certainly we want to raise awareness for people to understand that it's a community approach for our teachers and educators to understand that they're not alone. They're not alone in supporting children, that there are community providers out there. They can call, they can have children call our society or other agency providers in our community that are certainly willing to step up and help children if they're not doing well, if they're isolated or disconnected. Our community is a wonderful community with lots of folks that are willing to help. So I think it's just important that people know they're not alone and that we can all work together to support these children.
Absolutely. And this must bring you like this must be rewarding work, I think, for you, is bringing that message of hope and community to young people in London.
It is rewarding work. And I think our agency is really taking a stance now and taking an approach where we really want to connect to the community. We want to be a community partner and assist others in supporting children and families. So we really see this as a community approach where we can all work together. It's not just the Children's Aid Society anymore. It's really who can we pull in to support these children sort of on an individual basis, and then even their families and their communities. When we talk about First Nations communities, involvement of their First Nations and the elders in their community, and just anyone who can be a support to those children, youth, and families. The more people involved, the more success we see. So that's great.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing more about some of these successes from Christian, who is a service director at Children's Aid Society of London in Middlesex. We're going to have to take a quick break, and we'll be talking some more about Dress Purple Day, which is coming up on October 27th after the break. So please stay with us. Welcome back to LDN ONT TV. I'm your host, Bronagh, and we've been chatting with Christian Wilson, who is a service director at London and Middlesex CAS. Welcome back, Christian.
Hi.
We've been chatting about the day that's coming up, October 27th. It's a Wednesday, Dress Purple Day. Why purple, and what's this day all about?
So Dress Purple, it's really a social media, like it is a social media campaign. We dress in purple to show families that are facing challenges that we care and that we can help. Really, we're asking everyone to wear purple to show you care. That's the biggest message, that everyone in our community cares about these families that are facing challenges. We're aiming to raise awareness about supports that are available in people's communities and how they can access them. It reminds community service providers about the importance of early intervention and early support, and then community prevention for families that are struggling. We raise awareness that Children's Aid Societies work together in their communities with all their partners, and the wonderful community social service providers that help children, youth, and families that are facing those challenges.
Yeah, and I like the word challenges because we all face those challenges. I like the shift in kind of the way that the conversation is going. And so I appreciate you talking a little bit about that before the break. Now, in terms of, if I want to do more than wear purple on that day, obviously I can educate myself using the resources that you provide. And also I want to get involved more. So what kind of roles are you looking for community members who might be watching today to fulfill, to become a part of the community that is, wrapping around these families and children and youth to make sure that everybody is safe and taken care of?
Yeah, I think the first thing to do on the day is really help us spread the message on social media, join the conversation online, create a video. You can go to hashtag Dress Purple Day 2021 or hashtag I Dress Purple Because. Wear purple on October 27th to show you're part of the community that cares for children, youth, and families. Reach out to your community service providers and the Children's Aid Society to see how you can help. With regards to specific needs in our community in the Children's Aid Society of London, we're still really heavily recruiting foster parents that can provide a safe and supportive home to children and youth while they are being engaged to their community and families in a safe and supportive way. We're looking for permanent, meaningful people to be connected to youth in our community who are struggling, just to be that ear to listen to them, to understand, to be there when they need support, not necessarily having them come live in your home, but really just being someone who a youth can connect with when they're struggling or need someone to talk to. We're always looking for people to engage in that way. We're looking for relationships with our diverse communities and Indigenous communities. So if you'd like to be involved, if you'd like to support someone from your community, please reach out to our society. Please connect with us, and we will be certain to involve you in our community approach to caring for children and youth.
Yeah, so I know that there's a big, obviously there's a lot of training involved and a lot of educational pieces involved. Can you talk to me, in your role over the years as service director and different, whatever roles you've had in CAS here in London, talk to me about some of the things that you're proud of that you've been able to accomplish and that our Children's Aid Society here has been able to accomplish over the years.
So I do have I'm accountable for our youth response unit at the Children's Aid Society. So we service youth in our community who are experiencing struggles and either marginalized or needing support. Really proud of some relationships in the community that we have with folks like Youth Opportunities Unlimited, London Family Court Clinic, the University of Western University, and just partnerships that we have that continue support to youth in our community. So we're proud of those. From a resource standpoint, we're really in our resource unit, that's where we look at foster, adoptive, and kin supports, which is really providing a family-based atmosphere for children and youth to live in if they need to be out of their immediate home for a period of time, looking at supporting children and youth within their own culture and community. Is very important to us. So we've really taken steps into recruitment of those types of families, and so we can connect and help children feel as safe and supportive as they can if they do have to leave the home for a short period of time.
And it sounds like there are a lot of varied roles that a community member can take if they, if they're really motivated by, your message and wanting to get involved more. So obviously there is becoming a foster parent, but there are different roles within the society for everybody in the community to get involved, aren't there?
Yes, yeah. So we have a need for volunteers at our society that will assist with transportation and friendly home visitors to homes. We have a need for foster parents that will look at short-term placements for children and youth where they, when they do need to come in the care of the society for a short period of time. if you're involved in the community and you see that a child or youth is struggling, I think you can consider being even a kinship type of support to families, which means you're in their sort of extended family and community. And we always look for folks that are connected to children and youth to support them through their struggles. We oftentimes have teachers or coaches or other community members that are concerned about children and youth that end up being really that meaningful person for that child and their family most times. And that's something you can do as a community member just by connecting to our society.
Wonderful. Now, if I did want to get involved, what other dates are important that are coming up? So, I can wear my purple on October 27th, but I know that you have some other informational sessions that are coming up. Is that true?
Yeah, so we have an online information night if you're interested in being a foster adoptive parent or adoptive parent on November 17th. You could also go to our website and look at we have a 5-minute recruitment video if you wanted to see an inspirational story about fostering and adopting in our community. Again, if you wanted to connect about children or youth that you're concerned about, we're certainly looking for folks to be that support for children and youth in our community.
That's fantastic. Well, I really appreciate you coming on in your purple with my purple today as well to talk a little bit more about the wonderful, organization that you are so passionate about working for and how we can all get involved to make sure that our young people are safe and supported and know that there is a community out there that cares about them. Dress Purple Day coming up October 27th. Thank you so much, Christian Wilson, Service Director, for being with us today. We're going to have to take a break and we'll be talking a little bit more with a representative from the youth demographic from Children's Aid Society of London and Middlesex. Please stay with us and we'll have some more LDN ONT TV after the break. Welcome back to LDN ONT TV. I am your host, Bronagh, and as promised, now we are going to be speaking to Larissa Bailey, who is a social worker at Children's Aid Society of London and Middlesex, and also a recent graduate from social work at the University of Windsor. So we always talk to somebody who is in the younger demographic for the last segment of our show. So appreciate you being here, Larissa.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks so much. So you joined Children's Aid Society and I guess our London community only a few months ago, recent grad of University of Windsor for social work. Talk to me a little bit maybe about being a student during the pandemic, and then we can get into a little bit more about your work at CAS.
It was definitely a process. A little bit scary in the beginning, especially with the professors having to figure out, how to bring a community together in the virtual world. That was, difficult to navigate. But overall, I have to say it was honestly no different than being in the classroom. Like, we were just as connected. And I think it does have something to do with the fact that this is the digital age. We are in the era of social media. And it's just something common that we all do. And we're all, very, very close to. So I think it was overall a great experience. And yeah, challenges arose, but one thing we were told is that we were being taught a skill which would be very necessary when we then went out to get jobs, because most of the workplaces would be virtual. And so we were basically being groomed to be experts in terms of virtual working.
We've talked, it's interesting that you mentioned, how important it was for the university, the professors to be able to bring the community together, because we talked a lot with your colleague Christian about how, the role of a children's aid society is to, bring the community together, to wrap around families, to wrap around youth, to make sure that everybody is taken care of. So out of all of the options that somebody with a social work degree could have in terms of workplace, you chose the Children's Aid Society. So, why? Why was that, important for you?
Great question. I'm personally connected to the Children's Aid Society. I was a Crown Ward at the Catholic Children's Aid Society of Toronto. So I grew up in the system, to speak, and I recognized very early on the importance of creating, communities where children feel safe and, supported and loved. And for me, the Children's Aid plays a big role in that, and as a youth growing up in the system, I really, really appreciated that. My family appreciated that, just having that support and just knowing that, the CAS was there to help. For me, and my family, that was something that was really, really important.
And so you've made this, you're at the beginning of your career. So it's only been a couple of months that you've been here in London and with the Children's Aid Society of London and Middlesex. Can you talk to me a little bit about, the learning curve, what you're going to be doing in your new role, and maybe some of your hopes and dreams for, the next year or so coming up?
So currently right now, I'm actually doing new worker training. So this is basically the authorization process from the OACAS for new social workers. So we all have to go through this training to make sure that we're very prepared for the work that we're going to do. And so that's what I'm currently doing. Very busy. But my hopes and dreams really for, my role at the CS as a child protection worker is, that I can, support as many families as possible and really just, let families know that we are really here to help, and we are really here to help families, to strengthen them, to help them build their community of supports, so that when challenges arise, they do have that support system there. And there's a lot of stigma in terms of, the Children's Aid Society and working with the public, and I want to help make that relationship clearer. And for families to feel safe and comfortable with us and know that we are really truly here to help them, and that we do recognize that, there are challenges that arise that make it hard for families to be able to provide, the love and care that they really, really wish to give to their children. Like, there's so many challenges, so many oppressive structures, and we just want families to know that we are here to help and we are here to support. That would be, my main thing, and making sure that my families feel that I do care and that I really am here to support them.
It's wonderful to hear the passion that you have to bring to this new role that you have. Now, we've been talking about October 27th, Dress Purple Day. So what does Dress Purple Day mean to you, Larissa?
It's just that piece of normalizing that struggles and challenges exist within families, and really recognizing that how families are able to deal with those challenges is dependent on the supports and resources that are available to them. And, recognizing that it does take a community of people to really come together to strengthen families and create safer environment for children and youth.
Fantastic. So, motivate my viewers. I know Christian did a great job of doing this before about getting involved. Other than wearing our purple on October 27th, what would you like our viewers to do to help?
I would say, the Purple Dress Day campaign is a social media campaign. So I don't know, just get involved as much as you can. Just do some reading, do some research, use the hashtags. And really, I would say, if there's any way that you can use your platform just to spread the message, I think that's what's most important, because a lot of families really are not aware of the fact that, the Children's Aid Societies are here to help and to support them. So I think that's the main thing, to spread that message.
Appreciate that very much. So hoping our viewers will get involved. Wear your purple, use the hashtag. Thank you so much, Larissa, for being here today. Thank you to our first guest, Christian Wilson from Children's Aid Society of London and Middlesex. Thank you, viewers, for tuning in this week. Hope you enjoyed this broadcast. We'll be back again next week with more LDN ONT TV. I'm your host, Bronagh. Have a great week.